I am Lisa Lavoie, the eldest daughter. I have a geriatric care management and senior care consulting business. I have been in the field for over 30 years, and I would be happy to meet with you and help you learn all the ways that I can help you age in place safely as long as possible.
Now that's the way Lisa Lavoie typically introduces herself. But it's rare that I meet someone as passionate about their work as Lisa is. So if you have the time, I'd like her to give you a glimpse into how that happened.
The pull, it's literally a calling for me to work with seniors. It's something that I've done literally since I was a toddler. So kind of that lifelong exposure, but also has almost kind of honed in on a natural gift for me of really understanding the needs of elders and kind of the way they see the world, so that it gives me a unique perspective when I'm helping seniors, that I really truly understand like what life in general is like for them. My friends have nicknamed me like the Nana Whisperer because I get it. I know it seems like totally cliche and silly, but it's what sets me apart from, I think, your traditional social workers. Part of my whole life from the time I was a little girl, I always say my Nana is really who introduced me to working around, the senior population when I was probably 3 or 4 years old. I used to spend a lot of time with my Nana, and she was a nurse in convalescent homes and retirement homes. And back, in the probably early 70s, she was a nurse in it was a retirement home for ladies, literally just a bunch of women. It was called Lusac Lodge up in Massachusetts. And she used to bring me in to work with her. So I have my earliest memories were like me probably 3 years old, banging on the piano keys, entertaining the ladies, helping to serve breakfast, and just that's my comfort. That's where I've been raised. During my adolescent years and teenage years, I spent all my school vacations going to work with Nana in nursing homes and hanging out with activities directors and following my Nana around. And I remember her always asking me if I wanted to be a nurse. And I remembered seeing her give injections and things like that and thinking like, no way, I don't want to hurt people giving them needles, so I don't want to be a nurse. I had an elderly neighbor who I affectionately called Grammy Bess, and I was probably 7, 8, 9 years old. I spent every day hanging out with Grammy Bess next door. We did gardening, I helped her with ironing, and just she found things for me to be useful for. And, again, just more of that development and spending time with seniors in my downtime. My first job at 16, other than, neighborhood babysitting when I was an early teenager, but my first actual job was as a nurse's aide in a nursing home. And I don't know, I just wanted to help people feel less alone and feel more love. So like I said, at 16, I would punch out at the end of my shift and sit with somebody who was near the end, looking at colleges and thinking about what I wanted to do. And I got accepted. I did a lot of creative writing back then. It was an expression for me, but I also had this love of helping others. And I applied for creative writing programs, and then I applied for gerontology programs. And back in the 1988, there wasn't a lot of talk about gerontology. There was not a lot of talk about baby boomers and what was going to happen when they all hit 65. And I just knew that I loved working with the elderly, and thought, okay, creative writing or working with the elderly. And I thought, well, I'm going to be practical here, and it might be really hard to actually make a living as a writer, but hey, at least if I can do something that I love working with the elderly, then maybe I'll be in good shape. It did well, so I went on and I got my bachelor's, and I did my bachelor's in social services, and then I got married right out of college, and I started kind of hanging out with a bunch of graduate students and thinking like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like, expanding knowledge and learning more and learning how to be a better person. And I got the bug again to think like maybe I should get my master's. And I looked at programs and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to work with the elderly. It didn't really matter in what capacity, but it was natural to me. I found a program in Philadelphia that it was a master's in social work, but allowed me to specialize in health and aging, which were my two passions. And so I said, hey, like, this is the only program that's not super generic, that's truly going to really, really develop my expertise. And so I decided to apply. And I remember my family saying, extended family, in-laws, saying, you realize that's an Ivy League school? Like, don't you think maybe you should apply for a safety school? And saying, like, Ivy League, what's that? And so I decided to apply, and I felt like that's what I needed, that's what I wanted. And if I didn't get in, I felt it was a sign from God that I wasn't really meant to go to graduate school. And I got in and said, like, guess we're moving to Philadelphia. And so that's what I did. My graduate program was multidisciplinary as well. So I had a lot of multidisciplinary courses with the Penn medical students, Penn nursing students, and social work students together. So that was really where I learned the true value of a team. So I have the perspective of the family system and the dynamics that come along with those families. But I also know what it's like working in the doctor's office, the primary care doctor's office, the specialty offices, working in the hospital, working from the home care company that sends the team out after somebody comes home from the hospital, knowing how the Medicare system works and just little things like that. I've worked in home hospice. I've worked with hospice facilities at end of life. I have worked in assisted living facilities. I've worked in nursing homes. I've literally every aspect you could think of that may touch a senior's life. I've worked from the inside and I've worked from the outside. I've worked with area agencies on aging, so I understand the services that are provided through the Older Americans Act. I understand, the resources that are available. So where the Eldest Daughter comes in is, so many families out there, adult children who are part of that sandwich generation that are raising their own kids and their own families and careers, but then, like now mom and dad are into their 70s and 80s and 90s, and they're starting to struggle at home, but they are adamant about staying in their own homes. There's been a whole development of programs and services and support so that people can age in place, wherever that place may be that they want to be, whether it's in their own home, whether it's in their children's home, or an apartment or a golf course condo or assisted living, wherever that may be. We are bringing services to people instead of institutionalizing people.